Well, hello everybody. I hope you're all doing great. Finally, after weeks of not getting out and not getting my camera out, I finally kind of got the itch again to come out and take some photographs. And it's been a hard summer for me. I'm not really sure why. I mean, every summer I kind of go through this phase where I think I just get a bit burnt out because you're constantly out taking photographs, and I'm sure some of you right now are going, "Oh, poor you," But it's like any job, if you do it too much, you just kind of want to do something else and change things up a little bit. So usually I'll pick up something else for a few weeks and just do something completely different. But I've got the itch to come out and take photographs again, and I think the trigger for me was the change in the weather, at least for a couple of days anyway. It's been really hot and sunny for the past couple of months on the island here, so I don't know, I find it challenging to take photographs in that type of lighting. But today it's clouded over a little bit, so I've rushed out to a place called Cumberland Potholes, which I've been to before. I came here with Gavin about 2 years ago, I believe, and there was quite a bit more water at that time. And I kind of figured there wouldn't be much water here, it's just a trickle, but it does give you more access to the potholes. And what I'm looking for are abstracts. So I've just been looking around for the past half an hour or so, and I think I found my first composition. There is a little trickle at the back here, but in the foreground here there's another little trickle going from one pool to another, and there's these little bubbles and they're swirling around. And I've taken one image at 1 second and you can kind of see the swirl, but I want to try and get more of a swirl. So I've got my filters here. I'm going to put on a Case ND filter and try and prolong that shutter speed just a little bit longer to see if that makes any effect. But it's a good start to the day. I have had a look around at some other areas, and I think there are a couple more compositions that might be interesting as well. So yeah, I'm pretty excited. It's good to get out again and get my camera in my hand and start taking photographs. Suddenly got really dark. I hope it doesn't start raining. I don't know about you guys, but the exciting thing about photography for me is finding these little scenes where you have to kind of work them out like a puzzle. And when I saw this scene, I thought, oh yeah, it's kind of cool, and because I had seen it before. But as I study it more and more, there's certain things about it that I really like, where I can integrate, say, part of the foreground to relate with the background. So I'll show you what I mean by that, and how kind of I try to get things to fit like a bit of a puzzle. So if I just press the record button on my camera here, you'll notice that we have these beautiful lines coming in here that direct you towards the little waterfall here. Now I do wish there was a bit more water in there, but we have to kind of use what we're presented with. But what I didn't notice was this rock here and how it mimics the background. So I've positioned my camera so that these two shapes more or less fit into one another, and it just, to my eye, makes the image seem more, it just puts it together much nicer. If I was, say, let's just take this the camera off here. If I was, say, over, I don't know, down here like that, now that's probably not a great angle as an example because we're cutting off the waterfall here, but you'll notice that now this just blends in with the background, so it doesn't really have a great place in the composition. But as we move the camera over and up, you can see that now we're mimicking this, and it separates it, so we have that contrast, and I think it just gives it a more three-dimensional look. So those are the things that I look for, the little details that at the time they might seem kind of silly, but if you have all these little details in your composition and put those all together combined, then it really adds to the final composition, I think, anyway. Well, it wasn't looking good there for a minute. It started raining and it got really dark. I thought, uh-oh, that could be the end of the day, but it's cleared up again, so that's good. So I've come above the area that I was photographing before. This area is actually quite small. If I go down river a little bit, it gets quite messy, and I have walked down there and there isn't really any kind of rock formations. And then this way it goes up for another 50 meters maybe, and there's a few little rock outcroppings and carvings, but that's it. There's not a huge amount here, but that's okay. There's enough here to get some decent shots. What I like about this section here is as I'm looking down, we're getting a reflection of the sky. It really brightens up the area, and there's some kind of neat twisted rocks in here. The one thing I'm not sure about is it seems a little bit weighted to one side because of the light areas, and then the other area it's getting shadows from the trees, so it's quite a bit darker. So I've put on a polarizer, and that seems to have eliminated the sky a little bit, and you can see the bottom of the pool, so it kind of evens out the light from one side to the other. So probably what I'll end up having to do is dodge a little bit on one side and then perhaps burn in on the other side so that it kind of equals it out. I've decided to go with a 65 by 24 pano because I tried it as a square, but it seems quite empty in the middle here. But with the pano, we're just concentrating on a couple of the pools and some neat twisted rocks. All right, some of you may have noticed I've got a new hat. I sell these hats, helps keep my channel going. And I also have a 2023 calendar if you're interested. I really liked the old hats that I had, the 5-panel hats. The problem with them was getting them. The last batch took almost a year to get, it's just too long. So I went to another company, and actually these are waxed cotton, so they're quite nice, and they have a leather patch on them. The logo stands out a bit better. The back is not a leather strap, it's a Velcro strap, but I have a really large head, and they even fit me. So if you're interested in buying a hat or a print from my print sale or a calendar, then head on over to my website and you'll find out all the details there. Now then, I am having a few issues with this composition. I really love the rocks and the reflections, and there's a curve coming in through to from the left side. The problem is that the bottom looks a little empty, and if I lift the camera up, then the curve disappears. So I'll take a bit of a video for you to show you what I'm talking about here. So this is going to be 65 by 24. So I really love this bit here, and I love the reflection, but this curve here, I really love that. The problem is right in here, it's kind of empty. And if I lift the camera up, say to like there, then you kind of get rid of the curve. So what I might do is I might experiment a little bit, get down a bit lower. The problem with getting down too low is then you start to include too much of the background, which is very busy. If we go too high, then that gap between that curve and the rock in the middle gets wider. So you kind of have to make compromises. Okay, now I must admit, this scene here would probably benefit from a little bit more water coming through this gap here. But what I do like about it, I love this gnarly tree that's kind of lying here. And of course, I would imagine by next spring that'll probably be gone because water just gushes through here and just carries all that stuff away. But it's quite a nice little scene. I have the reflection of the trees, clouds moving through. There's a few leaves swirling around in there. I'm not sure if they're going to get picked up by the camera. And then we have the various potholes in the background. So it kind of tells a little bit of a story. I'll show you some of the things that I think about when I set up a composition like this. Some of the things that are kind of important to me, and some of the things that I'm thinking about so that they translate a little bit better on camera. So we have this log coming into the frame here, which I really love. And notice has a bit of a blue cast to it. That's because we've got some blue sky above us there. So I like that contrast between the blue and the warmer tones of the rocks. This little area here, I quite like, and I noticed there was some deciduous leaves reflected in there, so I've tried to make sure that they're not overlapping anything else too much. They really stand out. Like if I move my camera over, say, I don't know, down or up, that's not a very good example, but if I wasn't at this angle, then these might converge with some of the other greenery in there. So I like the way that they just stand out on their own. And then if we just move this back to where I had it originally, I just love the flow of the logs coming in here, and then we have the little waterfall, and the potholes are reasonably well defined throughout. And even these little cracks in here all lead down into the center here. There are some leaves in there. It would be nice if, like I said, if the camera picked those up with the long exposure. I might have to shorten the exposure just a little bit because I'm moving quite fast. So right now I've got a case ND filter on. I think it's a 6-stop. So maybe I'll put on a 3-stop and see if I can shorten the shutter speed just a little bit so we can pick up those leaves moving around in there. Well, I must admit, it feels really good to finally get out and start taking photographs again, start creating. This is a really cool area. I think I'm going to come back here when there's just a little bit more water. So it would be nice if there was not as much water as when Gavin and I came, but more water than right now, so that some of these shelves have water cascading over them. So it's definitely worthwhile exploring again. Right, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please be sure to give me the old thumbs up. I really appreciate it, and hopefully we'll have another video out for you very, very soon. All right, folks, thanks ever so much, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.